helping you with the Q&A. You don't even have to say who I am, because I might interject once in a while.
Right, it's already on. So
okay.
Is everybody there? How will I know if you can even hear me? I'm assuming that you can hear me. Becky, can you hear me? If you can hear me, I guess everybody else can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Now this is so kind of awkward because first of all, we had a lot of issues trying to get our guest on the Google Hangout today with us. She is going to be joining us by phone with her answers, and I promise you that we're going to work out these kinks. This is the first time I've done this, and we'll do it again, and she'll be on properly next time. Right, Sharon? Can you hear me? Sharon?
I can hear you.
She can hear me. I'm sorry
I'm not more techno savvy.
I'm sure. I'm sorry that we didn't get all this straightened out beforehand. But let me first just I'll welcome you to my very first live webcast. This is coming to you straight from Pacific Palisades, a village within Los Angeles County in Los Angeles, California. And I understand that I have viewers. I know I have at least one viewer from the Southern Hemisphere. And I would like anyone who is not in, for example, North America, to please write a message in the message window so we know what countries you're coming from. We had people RSVP from Belgium, from Iran, from the Philippines, and of course, there's Conrad in South Africa. Gotta mention Conrad. Conrad is a young man who has a garden that's bigger than mine, and I am so proud that he is up and watching us in South Africa at I think midnight or 1 in the morning. So first off, I wanted to, let's see if anybody's okay. I don't see anything yet, but I do want to know all those countries where you are tuning in from. I want to take just a couple of minutes for those of you who are new to Late Bloomer and new to me, how I got to be a late bloomer. Well, I've always been a late bloomer at everything my whole life. But about 3 years ago, we had a parkway tree that died. And if you watch and subscribe to Late Bloomer, you will know this story from the very first episode, which premiered on Earth Day 2012. And that is we had a parkway, it's the little strip in front of the sidewalk, between the sidewalk and the street, which is technically owned by city property. But if you're up on your Los Angeles news, you know, in 2012, the city was broke, and city services were severely limited for street trees, and they still are. But we had a tree that died. I got a permit to take it out. I replaced it, but at the same time, I met this biodynamic farmer, and he said, from now on, you're only growing edibles. And I really took it to heart. And he said, first plant 2 citrus trees and surround them with herbs. And that's what I did. And by the time I did that, I was hooked. I had tapped in to something from my ancestors that just, well, it won't let go. And so since I've been in the entertainment business for 30-something years, and I'd already made a couple of short films, when I started, you know, there's so much incredible content online now, gardening content. It blows my mind. I don't even come close to professing to be an expert at anything. I have learned a lot in 3 years, but I did know something about making short films, and I thought, you know, I'm going to make a video. If I can be inspired at my age to start over and learn to grow my own food, then maybe I can inspire other people to do the same thing. And I was sitting out in my parkway, which is 6.5 feet by 20 feet, day after day, digging around in my dirt, trying to loosen up this hard clay soil. And neighbors would pass me on the sidewalk and say, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm a late bloomer. I'm a late bloomer." And the name just stuck, and it made so much sense. So I created a show called Late Bloomer. Now, I just wanted to acknowledge, when I first got into this whole gardening thing, I met one guy. You may know him. His name is Sumi, and And we met at the National Heirloom Expo. We met up there and chatted, and I told him what I was doing with Late Bloomer, and he said, "Why don't you just shoot a regular garden video like everybody else?" And I just thought, well, it's just it's not really my thing. I when I started, I decided I wanted to be the Hewell Hauser of organic gardening and go around and interview all these other people who are doing fabulous, fascinating things. And I still hope that happens. But for now, I am just doing my story. Whatever happens in my garden, I try to compile it like a documentary, and I try to make it fun. Now, enough about me. That's how Late Bloomer is different from other garden videos, and hopefully you can tell that it's a show. But the show costs money to make, and I have a small, lean, mean production team of 3 people, and they help me put the back end of it together. So I wanted to say, later in the episode, I want to show you what I've been working on. I'm very excited about this. It's going to be my first DVD. Take a look. And this is going to be on Amazon, but I am going to do a pre-order for this, and I'm so excited to, oh, there you go. Oh, it came clear. My graphics artist has put together this very cheerful cover of, and those are my tomatoes. So I hope you'll consider buying one of those, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. But what we're mainly here for is to talk about growing heirloom tomatoes. Now, if you've watched my 5-part series, you pretty much know everything that I knew last summer. And I have Sharon Carson on. She's my guest today, and she has been on her family farm since 1978, growing biodynamically since 1991. And she's now on her own. And how many acres did you say you have, Sharon?
Almost 5.
5 acres. And she does all sorts of interesting things, from making baskets to making her own mulberry wine, was it?
Oh, all kinds of wine.
Okay, all kinds of wine. Okay, but she's going to offer some particular insight about growing heirloom tomatoes, something that I missed when I went through my whole experience and all 5 episodes last year. No one presented me with this question, and it just never came up. But I'd like to start off the discussion about growing heirloom tomatoes with this. And okay, if you do have to get off early, I know Conrad is very late in South Africa. If you have a question, make sure you put it in the window, and we'll try to answer it as soon as possible. I wanted to say, what was I saying? The question, and I asked Sharon and I got on last night, and I asked her this question, and it was brought to me by, I don't know if he is signed in, but his YouTube name is Real Man Pawns, PWNS. And he wrote in and asked about the cross-pollination of planting various varieties of tomatoes together, and how can you save the seeds? And I'm going, I don't know the answer to that. I am going to ask Sharon. So Sharon, let's see if Becky will let us know if she can hear you. So can you tell him a little bit about what the answer that you gave me last night when I asked about that?
Well, you can't fill up your garden with tomatoes and then save the seed without expecting them to cross. They are self-pollinating a lot of times, but I really recommend you get a book on seed saving. And you do need to only grow one variety, or if you have a 35 feet away, like you can grow one kind in your backyard, one kind in your front yard. But there is a really good book, Vegetable Gardening in the Southeast, and a book called Seed to Seed. So you need to get, if you're going to save seed, you really need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, so let me just interrupt you there for a second, Sharon, because if you've been watching Late Bloomer, you probably have already realized I'm kind of the person that just sort of jumps in, and I don't I don't I don't always do all the research that I should do, and seed saving is so important. So I am glad that she's mentioning this book is called. I think you also wrote it. What is the name of the book?
There's two books.
Uh-huh.
There's two books. The most important one is Seed to Seed, about all kinds of seed saving. But the other one is the Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. They have a free catalog online, and you can get the print one or the online one. And there's a new book called Vegetable Gardening in the Southeast, just printed and published and available now.
Okay, I'm just going to repeat that because I don't know from my guests whether they can hear us or not. So I just want to repeat that, and that is Vegetable Gardening
in the Southeast.
Vegetable Gardening.
Ira Wallace.
Okay, let me say that, Sharon, 1 second. Vegetable Gardening in the Southeast by Ira Wallace. And this leads me to my next question, Sharon, for you. And I thought this might be interesting is, how much of your success relates to the zone you're in? For example, you've been on the same piece of land for, let's see, 50 years, something like that, 47 years or something?
Well, I've gardened since I was 6, and I'm 67.
Well, you didn't need to say that. Anyway, hope you didn't hear that.
60 years I've gardened.
60 years she's gardened. So what I'm asking is, if you're an expert in Delaware, her farm is, by the way, go to sharonsnaturalgardens.com. That's her website, and you can find various things that she makes for sale to help support her farm. sharonsnaturalgardens.com. And if you're an expert in Delaware, would you also think that I can just go out to California and be an expert out there? Or is it really have a lot to do with your region? Because tomatoes, as you know, you mentioned last night, tomatoes are the #1 most popular fruit. It's really a fruit, but a vegetable garden plant. Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to try their hand at growing tomatoes, no matter what level you are. And so would you say that you can be an expert in the East Coast and not an expert where we are? Because we have different issues that we have to deal with.
I've gardened in upstate New York, almost to Canada, and down in Florida, and in the high mountains in New Mexico. I've gardened in many regions. Okay,
she's gardened in New Mexico and all over, you said.
Well, and up high, out west, and down south, very far south.
Well, I consider you an expert. I am going to look over to the questions. I see that Cindy Lou has joined us, and you're not doing anything wrong. If you can hear me, just say, I can hear you, Kaye. I'm not going to be able to hear you. I can only see what you write in the message window. So if you have a question for me or for Sharon, make sure you write it in the question window. Okay. So let's see. While you guys are getting your questions together, because I don't see any questions so far over here, I wanted to mention what an incredible community the gardening community is. First of all, I am talking to Sharon here today, who is in Delaware, and I connected with Sharon I was simply browsing bean seeds on localharvest.org, and I saw this Creams bean. If you've seen my episode, Growing Heirloom Beans Part 1, that I just posted a couple of weeks ago, you'll see that I'm talking about these Creams shelling peas. Something about it just caught my attention. I love black-eyed peas, and it's in the same kind of vein as that. And so I ordered these seeds, and we have become fast friends. And now I realize what an incredible resource she is for me, who I can learn from. But I also wanted to mention that I don't know if you can see this right here. This is my new fig tree, and if Eric at Double Dog Farm can hear me, can you please write in the message window, "Hi, Kaye"? This was a bare root. He sent me several bare root. Oh, I got a question. I'm typing on Google. Okay. I think Eric can hear me. Eric sent me 3 bare roots from San Juan Island in Washington. He sent me some other things too, some seeds, which I still haven't planted, but I'm going to, and some Jerusalem artichokes, which haven't done anything yet. But this is my fig, and I just think it's so lovely. You can see it better over here, actually. But I'm going to be contacting Eric soon, and I'll also ask Sharon. You can't grow fig trees in Delaware, can you?
I have a fig tree that's almost 50 years old, and
of course you can.
Figs off of it, even though it's been too cold. Yeah, I got it from my mother when we moved here in '78, and it was 5 years old, and she said, "Oh, here, you take this thing," and never produces figs. So the next year it produced figs for me. So yeah, I grow figs.
Okay. I have a couple of questions over here that see, what is the #1 tomato pest, and how do you manage it organically? Well, I think that's probably a different answer for me and for Sharon. So I'll answer first, and it's not the pest that I have the most trouble with. It's powdery mildew, because we often get a lot of June gloom, like all summer, and tomatoes like the heat. So we never have a freeze here, so the spores never get killed off. So it's just this constant battle, and you go, gee, is it really worth growing your favorite vegetables if it's going to be, eaten up by powdery mildew? So I'm still in the process of trying to find out, how to handle that. What's the best product to use that I can use for organic gardening?
So do you?
Yeah, Sharon.
Do you use?
Speak loud when you're talking, Sharon, just so I make sure they hear you.
Okay. Are you talking about that on tomatoes?
Yes.
Or other vegetables?
Well, yeah, I know it's different for different vegetables. So let's talk about powdery mildew for tomatoes, and then I want to hear about what your pest problems are for tomatoes in Delaware.
Well, I don't have a powdery mildew problem with tomatoes. It's in the cantaloupes and cucumbers here.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that baking soda solution.
I'm way ahead of you there.
A baking soda solution sprayed.
Yeah, I do that.
Will help prevent it.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I just started spraying all of my seedlings with baking soda spray, like at least once a week. And they're just in the solo cups right now. So I'm hoping that helps. What is the biggest?
Another thing that might help a lot is chamomile tea for any kind of fungal problem. And horsetail is a biodynamic prep that you can use for any kind of fungal problem. And I think powdery mildew is a fungal problem.
Did everybody write that down? Oh my gosh. Tail?
Horsetail.
What in the heck is horsetail?
It's an herb that grows wild.
I'm writing this down, but I can see this later.
You can buy it, make a tea.
Okay.
And spray that.
I did hear something about chamomile tea. For
chamomile tea
to spray the base.
Horsetail, both herbs. You can make a tea out of either one, and they're very helpful for preventing any kind of fungal problem.
I have another question from one of my biggest fans, Matt W. Hi, Matt. He says, after your first crop of tomatoes, should you prune in order to get a second flush of veggies? But I think, Matt, first of all, I think I know part of the answer to that is if it's a determinate variety of tomato, you're just going to get one flush, and that's it. But if you're on an indeterminate tomato, yes, you prune, and they just keep setting tomatoes as long as the temperature, they're happy with the temperature. Would you say that? Would you say that also, Sharon?
Well, you can actually take a cutting from the end of a tomato and start a whole new plant.
That's true.
But, yeah,
but would you get tomatoes the same year? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can take a cutting in August, after the plant is kind of really worn out. But you can take a cutting of the top of the plant and root it and put it in your greenhouse, and it'll just keep on going.
Okay, there we go. Greenhouse. That's my problem. I don't have a greenhouse. But I
you might not need to. Might not need to where you live.
Well, I overwintered 2 tomatoes, I have to say, and you will be seeing this in a future episode, but they were huge, and I cut them totally back, and they just exploded into, one of them is like the tree. You saw it in my part 5 of growing heirloom tomatoes. And it just...
You can also just root them and start branding plants.
These are the cherry tomatoes I wanted you to see. I just took these cherry tomatoes off of my 2 plants outside, and they actually taste pretty good for April. I have a question from Conrad in South Africa, and he says, normally when other people grow tomatoes, they grow a nice bush or a nice tall vine. And I think once again, it's your choice. You can keep a tomato, even an indeterminate, you can keep it small and under control, right, Sharon? If you want to, if that's what you want. Right, or no?
Indeterminate, I just let them go. I just make tall fences and let them do what they need to do.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
I grow like almost 30 different varieties here.
Okay, we're back to that. You're growing 30 varieties. Do you have enough space that you can separate your varieties by 25 feet?
Well, I don't necessarily separate all of them.
Oh, that's right.
The ones that I want to save the seed from.
Right. That's right. If you want to save seeds, then you have to separate your tomato plants by tomato varieties by at least 25 feet. If you want to save the seeds. Obviously, I did not do that.
30, 35, or a bigger, even more space, depending on the variety. That's why I recommended, the book, because it'll tell you. But our ancestors, probably didn't do that, but then they probably only grew 2 or 3 varieties.
Right.
So you can grow lots of different varieties, and you don't need to separate them all. You don't need to grow them all out to seed the same year.
That's a good point too. Well, Sharon has pointed out that tomato seeds can last as long as 10 years and still be viable?
Up to. I've had that experience, but you can save them up to 5 years easily.
Okay. I'm just looking at the time here because we're having so much fun. Let's see. It's only 3:29. Okay, we're good.
Okay, I'm going to interject on that question that you were that you were answering from Basic Gardening.
Yeah.
One of the questions was he wants to know why his tomato flowers, or why his tomatoes are flowering so quickly. So he's concerned that his plants aren't getting big enough before they flower, and and how to deal with them flowering so quickly and then getting a good harvest from them.
Well, do you recommend taking the early blooms off, Sharon, if the plant is still not big enough to really get going?
It wouldn't be a bad idea to let if the plant is flowering, if you want to get it to produce more fruit later. I don't know. Sometimes plants will flower and fruit because they're under stress. So removing the flower cluster might, reset the program for the plant to get stronger.
Okay.
Get stronger and then produce more fruit later.
Okay. Conrad, can you just write a little note on there that said you heard what she said, or she said might not be a bad idea to remove some of those early flowers to give the plant a chance to develop a little more girth, more strength, and would produce more tomatoes later. Let me know if you heard that.
He has some follow-up questions as well. He wants to know what the cheapest way is to prevent blight.
Cheapest?
Well, we had we had that huge blight that was basically, I personally think, caused by industrialization. I didn't have any blight here in my garden, and with all my varieties of seeds, some of them I have been saving for over 40 years.
Wow.
And there was no blight. I think it's because of biodynamics myself, but I think it's very important that you know what the source of your compost is, and it goes pretty deep.
The problem with blight is that it can take out your whole garden, right, Sharon?
Well, down here in the Eastern Shore, I traveled down to Virginia, and they had commercial tomatoes, acres and acres, miles and miles of them, and the fields were black from blight.
Ooh.
And even backyard gardeners, just black.
Wow.
And just wiped out everything. But we did not have any blight here in our garden.
Well, Conrad, make sure.
I don't have a blight problem.
Conrad, I do know that you need to make sure to any early signs you see of blight, you want to get right on top of that and trim off those leaves and stems and dispose of those in your trash and not in your compost, because what you want to do is not let all of these spores get out into your garden and wreak havoc.
Where did the plants come from in the first place?
Yeah, that's what that's another thing.
That's the thing. You know, where did you get the tomatoes? Why do you have blight in the first place? That's the question you need to ask.
Right.
And he has one more question that kind of stems from, works good into that, is that he has a compost pile right next to his tomatoes, and he wants to know if that's okay. And if not, then next to what vegetables can he put his compost pile?
Sharon, what do you say about that? Because I don't know the answer.
Now, let me make. Where did he buy his plants?
Yeah,
it doesn't say, but he does say that he grew 15 different types and that all of them got blight this year. So he's not going. He's in South Africa, correct?
Yes.
And he's at the end of his season, so he's not getting any tomatoes this year.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think Sharon's point is it's very important to know where you're getting your plants, and and that try starting from seed if you didn't start from seed, because I think if you start from seed, that can't happen. Fresh seed, seed that you buy.
I think the blight problem was caused by
nursery plants,
mass production.
Yeah.
I don't know where he got his plants, but I think that it's very important that you save your own seed and that you make your own compost in order to avoid the blight in the first place.
Okay. I just want to interject something here. A question from Cindy Lou. She says, no matter how much calcium she gives her tomatoes, it's never enough in Colorado. How can she address this on a time schedule? I guess so that the plant gets the nutrients it needs. Now, Sharon uses no chemicals on her garden whatsoever. So how do you just have a lot of calcium-rich material in your compost, or what do you do?
I've read that you can use Epsom salt, but my calcium level of my soil test is through the roof, and I attribute it to biodynamics again.
Okay.
But if I weren't biodynamic, I would try Epsom salt.
That's magnesium, though, right? Does that have calcium?
Yeah, it's very good for calcium deficiency.
Okay.
Another thing is your eggshells.
Right.
Save your eggshells from if you eat eggs, or get somebody else's eggshells and just water your plants with eggshells, or put the powdered eggshells in the hole where you plant your tomatoes.
Yeah, it takes time.
That'll help supply calcium.
And it does take time to break down. So you'll probably see the benefit of that next season, or a few months, a year later maybe. Let's see. Howdy, Kaye from rainy North Carolina. Hello. I think that's Stephanie Williams. Let's see if we have another question here. I hope. Does anybody have another question? Because I do want to I do want to say a few other things. Double dog, let's see. Yes, monoculture is a bad practice. Eric just made a point that monoculture is a bad practice, and I think that we've all kind of become aware of that. I mean, where I live, and I drive up the I-5 to, heading towards San Francisco or something, and it's just monoculture after monoculture after monoculture field, and it's just, as a matter of fact, I heard this I actually recorded and put it in my National Heirloom Expo episode, is Vandana Shiva said, she feels, when she drives up the 5, she feels the pain of the pollinators, because I went and spoke at the California State Beekeepers Association Ladies Luncheon last November, and I learned so much about the bees and how they're just trucked here and there, and it's so hard, and oh my gosh, I mean, this is their business, I understand, but wow, you think about those boxes that you see beside the walnut and the pistachio and the almond trees and the fruit trees and stuff, and you just feel like, oh gosh, in a week they're going to be on a tractor trailer back to East Coast or something. And it's really hard to fathom, but all of that produce is dependent on bees.
Well, it's all connected, Kay. It's all connected, and 85–90% of people live in cities and aren't connected to the land anymore.
Right.
So, I mean, the bees are just as disconnected as we are.
Yeah.
So the only solution is to get people back, involved in doing the work and gardening again.
Well,
and that's what you're all about. That's what we're all really all about,
Yeah, I mean,
we need to reconnect,
Yes, I think the connection is I can't even think of the right word right now, but when you start getting your hands in the dirt, even if your dirt is not ideal, and mine wasn't to start with, it was hard clay. It was just almost ready to be fired in the brick oven. And you could just cut out pieces and put it right in and make bricks out of it. But even clay is alive. There's so much going on inside that on a microscopic level, and of course I live in a big city, and there's tons of asphalt and concrete and steel structures and traffic and everything else. So it's really, if you find a little oasis somewhere, like if people start planting front yard gardens, I mean, it's going to send a message that's so important to everybody that drives or walks by. That's what I'm trying to do here with not only with the garden, but with the show, because I can only reach so many people in my neighborhood. And hopefully the show is going to go on and it'll be on TV, and it'll be here and it'll be there. But for right now, I'm just trying to make it as informative and entertaining as I possibly can. And we have a question from Germany. This is from Garden Diary. I believe she's in Germany, right? You let me know if I'm right. And she wonders if I have a favorite tomato variety. Well, if you saw part 6 of, excuse me, there are only 5 parts. Part 5, my top 6 picks of tomato varieties in my Growing Heirloom Tomato series, I would have to say the large barred boar was on a real major tie with the pink Berkeley tie-dye, just because they're so artistic looking. They have these metallic.
Which kind?
It's called these are varieties developed by Wild Boar Farms, and they're sold through Baker Creek Seed Company, and it's called Large Barred Boar. And the tomatoes were like that. And at one time there were 55 of those, like 1 pound and up, on this one vine. There weren't any leaves. I'd taken all the leaves off because of powdery mildew, but there were 55 tomatoes there. And I would say the pink Berkeley tie-dye, it's even redder, and so the metallic stripes. It's just, and the flavor is really delicious. It's a deep kind of winey flavor. I don't know. I just love them. But that's the most amazing thing about tomatoes is there's so many heirloom varieties. Sharon, what were you telling me about how many varieties there are? It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, there's just
thousands.
I think there's thousands of varieties. But, you know, it's crazy to go and buy a hybrid. You know, it's just that, you know, I don't. It doesn't make sense. All these people want big boys, better go girls. And, you know, I mean,
right.
There's just I like Cherokee purple, and there's one from Germany that is called Eva's Purple Ball.
Well, maybe that's something you could find Garden Diary. What is it called again? It's in Germany.
Well, it's from Germany. It's called Eva's Purple Ball. You can get it through Southern Exposure, and I also sell it too. But
okay,
I like another one that I've been growing many years called Red Rock. It's a paste tomato, but it's round.
Okay.
And it doesn't have that much flavor, but it doesn't have a lot of juice in it. So it's a perfect canning tomato. Like a
right.
Tomato.
I will.
But, there's so many kinds.
I'll follow up this live event with a blog post on latebloomershow.com and list her favorite varieties in case you're not hearing the names exactly. Garden Diary, did you hear that? Eva's, what was it? Purple Ball? That's a funny name.
You can read about, see pictures of the different varieties that I grow. And I save. I just sort of, you know, sort of save my favorites.
Yeah.
And I have them out there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I started growing yellow ones from a biodynamic.
I love yellow tomatoes.
And I have a yellow slicer, and then I have a little one called Pale Yellow Egg, which is a very rare yellow tomato.
Now,
for people that can't handle the acid, you know, it makes an incredible yellow tomato sauce.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Let me ask you now. I don't think, Sharon, that you're not offering seeds for tomatoes on your store, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you are.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Local Harvest. Yeah, there's pictures and everything.
Okay. Okay. So if you want to see what Sharon is offering for sale, the seeds that she's offering for sale, or other products, go to localharvest.org and just search for Sharon's Natural Gardens. And she also has an Etsy shop.
There's a link on my website.
And a link on her website at sharonsnaturalgardens.com. And also she has an Etsy shop. And you better order something because she's doing me a big favor. I've already sent some of the creams bean seed that I grew. I'm jumping from tomatoes to beans until I get another, oops. Oh dear. When was this truck accident, Eric, at Double Dog Farm? He just wrote something about millions of bees being involved in a truck accident. This sounds horrible. Sorry. What was I just saying? The beans. The creams beans that I got from Sharon that I grew, the 4 plants that I grew, I have lots of beans and I shared them with a couple of people. In fact, I think I just sent you some Garden Diary. Didn't I just send you some seeds to Germany? So, and a man came by the other day who lives in Malaysia. He was visiting someone in my neighborhood, and he came by, and I gave him some of the creams bean seeds that I grew from Sharon's seeds. So this is kind of going around the world now. You know,
it should. It's worthy.
This is a worthy variety. Oh, I also sent some to Bob, my pal, my garden pal, Dakota Bob, and I sent some to Eric at Double Dog Farm. So you're going to have some of the creams are going to be in North Dakota, San Juan Island, Malaysia, Germany, and here.
You know, those beans make the best hummus. Oh my goodness, they make a wonderful hummus. Okay.
She said that the creams bean seeds make wonderful hummus. Now, I did not cover that in part 2 of growing heirloom beans. I you have to tune in for that. I basically am covering the onslaught of pests that I got, and how the creams versus pests. You've got to see. It's like a knockout. You've got to see that. Let's see. Where was I? Oh,
They're
yes,
very pest resistant, I think.
Well, they definitely kept producing, but I don't want to say any more because I don't want to spoil the episode. You're not going to see the episode for a few days. So, all right. So since I don't see any questions, and I just want to put this on the screen again because I'm so excited to have my first actual product to sell. This will be on Amazon, and it's being the master is being authored as we speak, and but I am accepting orders. I think Becky, like for 48 hours. Is that what we talked about? Just enough time for people to get to see this, and then
probably through Monday midnight or so.
Okay,
Okay, I'm not seeing it on your screen. Can you go to your toolbox? Go to your toolbox.
Yes, my toolbox.
And then in custom overlay.
Ooh.
You should see something there. Can you turn on the custom overlay, and that will throw it on over your...
Oh, sure. Where's the custom overlay?
Okay, so where the little icon is, the little person in the round box at the top of the Hangout toolbox on the right-hand side of your screen.
On the right-hand side, yeah.
Oh, well, first you have to turn it on. So if you didn't turn it on the Hangout toolbox on the left-hand side, you turn it on there, the little briefcase with the tools in it.
Okay.
I'm going to take a little bathroom break, okay?
Okay, come right back.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, everybody, just hang in there for a second.
Left-hand side of your screen, little red briefcase-looking thing with tools in it.
I got that.
Okay, then when that pops up on the right, you'll see a little person inside of it. Okay, and then go down about halfway. It'll say custom overlay. Just turn it on.
Okay.
I put it on yours earlier this morning.
No overlay selected.
Okay, go down to the saved presets and select the one that's there.
Okay.
And now turn it on and see if that works.
Oh dear. Okay. I don't see it.
No?
I see DVD pre-order, but I can't click it or anything. And
no, you shouldn't. There's some little round little circles with a check mark.
Yeah.
Next to it, click on that.
Okay.
There you go. It's up.
Oh, good. Thank God. That was not too hard. Mr. Self-Reliance, hello, has just joined us, or maybe he's just now speaking.
I'm back.
Okay, great. Well, this must have been big news because I see Joe at Craig Fire Gardening just said that he saw this story also about this truck accident with the bees, and that's very sad. So, I'm sorry, got distracted. I wanted to mention my new DVD, and it'll like for till Monday. I think Monday night we'll just leave this up, and then after that, it's just going to be available to order on Amazon. So there are 3 great reasons to buy this DVD. Number 1, you can buy it and give it as a gift to someone that will hopefully inspire them to grow their own food. Number 2. You can watch this in the comfort of your lazy boy chair, your sofa, and on your big screen TV, and watch it as an episode at a time or all together. It'll be yours to keep. And number 3, you will be helping to support more episodes of Late Bloomer. And so I hope you'll consider getting 1 or more, and I will personally be fulfilling these first orders. So you will get this directly from me if you order any. So just click on that link. I don't know if the link is clickable.
Do they get it signed, Kay? Are you going to sign it? Don't you think it should be autographed?
Yes. Oh, yes. I would love to autograph it if anyone is interested. It's already autographed. It's my name is that's my signature up there. No, just kidding. I'd be happy to sign it.
And the pre-order price is a discount off of what it will be listed for on Amazon, correct?
Right, because Amazon does have a fee that they charge for everything. So service fee. So this will be more expensive. So this is a lower price. So this is the fourth reason you should get it now. I think we have a question from, oh, good. Oh, Cheryl Mann says she can see my DVD offer. Thank you, Cheryl, for letting me know. This is our very first live webcast. And Cheryl, if you're just joining us, I have Sharon Carson from Sharon's Natural Gardens in Delaware on the phone, and she is answering any and all questions for at least another half an hour about organic or biodynamic gardening, because she's been all biodynamic since 1991.
I have something to share with you.
Yes, please do.
Quiet moment.
Yes, go ahead.
A little story about heirloom tomatoes. I germination test my seed every year by simply planting them to make sure they all come up, because I don't want anybody to order my seeds and find out they don't come up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have thousands of little baby plants that I don't have room to plant in my garden. Like, I send them up to my sister up in New Jersey, and she gives them away.
Nice.
She pots them up and gives them away to everybody in their neighborhood who's never grown tomatoes or never grown anything. And they're all proud of them, like they're little children. It just is a great community builder because they're free.
Right.
And they want to grow.
Well,
and they're you can save the seed from them, and they're just so nutritious. And there's all these beautiful things about tomatoes.
I'm not sure if Jay Walker is online today. I didn't notice whether he signed up or not, but he's somebody and another one too. No, Jay Walker is the one that inspired me to grow beans. There's another new viewer of Late Bloomer, and if you're watching, would you please just put your name there, because we were just in communication about he loved my bean episode because his he couldn't get his boys to eat beans, and so now he's growing these green beans, and he's very excited to get them involved and in the process, and so I'm looking forward to following his progress. But I wanted to say that what's interesting about Sharon is every time we talk about a particular seed, she's got this story about where this seed came from and who she met and where it came from and how did it transpire and the whole thing. And that's what's so amazing about, I think it's amazing anyway. Sharon, why don't you can you just refresh my memory about where you got the creams bean seeds?
Yeah, I just sent you an email.
Oh, right.
Before this all, maybe you never even got to see it before the show started, but you asked me if I got them from Southern Exposure. And
right.
Southern Exposure now carries them, but I actually think that I might have given them to Ira.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but because I can't remember, but I think I was growing them before they even offered them. But I was gardening one day, and a black woman came by, admiring my garden, stopped beside the road, and was looking at my beautiful garden. And I had all these greens out there, and when you have greens, you have a lot of them. So I gave her some, and a couple of weeks later, she came back with this handful of beans and said that they had been in her family for years. So she wanted to pass them belonged to me. And I started with just a little teeny handful, about the same amount of seeds that I send to people.
Right.
Like Kaye,
Right.
That's the beginning. And once you got the seed, you got it forever. And they go around the world, It's like, it's like, like you did. So the seeds have a life of their own, a magic to them, kind of like Jack and the Beanstalk. And whenever I go anywhere, there's always seeds in my pocket. And I gave a lima bean to some clerk at a store, and I said, "You want some of my magic beans?" And they just, everything about seeds is magical.
Right. So the bottom line about seed saving, which is how we started this whole conversation, is well, in the case of tomatoes, you can't cross the varieties too close together, but that's only if you're saving seeds. When you have a small garden like I do, gosh, you've heard that line from me before. When you have a small garden like I do, everything's got to get jammed together. I mean, it just does. You just want to use every square inch, especially if the soil can support it, the soil health. I have a question from my pal Bob in Dakota, North Dakota, and wondering if you have any recommendations for companion planting with tomatoes.
I've actually been published. My ideas have been published in 2 or 3 different books, and I like to plant on trellises. And
Right.
I plant all kinds of things together on trellises, and then I rotate the trellises.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what I plant on the different ones. So beans and tomatoes go well together on a trellis, and
Oh, so you let
you
them both grow up together on the trellis like a vine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, beans and tomatoes, and I plant a lot of different things, and I grow a lot of exotic things. I like bitter melon and loofah sponges, and all sorts of things. I recommend field fencing for people that have large gardens because it's very cheap and it'll last for 20 years.
Does that rust? Because I saw
No, it doesn't.
Oh, really? And it's called field fencing, because I just saw something.
Field fencing.
Yeah, I saw something
you
on
can buy
it.
it from Tractor Supply, which is,
I got one of those Tractor Supplies
Like that
right
anymore.
down Wilshire Boulevard. What did you say? Sorry. What did
Well,
you
it's just, basil goes well with tomatoes.
Yeah.
I recommend that book, Vegetable Gardening in the Southeast. Again, it doesn't matter where you live. That book is just full of incredible knowledge.
Okay.
It's an incredible resource.
Yeah, one of the mistakes a lot of people make when they just get into gardening is they order like 25 books and they just get their heads so full of information, and you go outside and you go, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so that's what happened to me. I just kind of stopped reading and just started experimenting. I wanted to put that.
That's, I love Joel Salatin's quote. He said, let's see, everything is worth doing wrong the first time. In other words, the old quote, everything is worth doing right. But the whole point of learning is to allow yourself to make mistakes. And that's what's so fun about your Late Bloomer show, is that you just long to share that learning process with people.
Well, part of that is, yes, I do. That's absolutely true. But also I just I just want to keep it fun because gardening's like hard work, and if you don't find it fun and enriching, then it could like not be fun, and you don't want that.
Right.
So that's what I try to do. I try to keep it fun, and plus I just like to be funny, so I just I just try to be funny whenever I can.
We all need to laugh.
That's
we
right.
All need to, there are moments that you have to plow through, and you can't quit gardening because there are some unfun moments, but it's nice to have the fun too.
Okay, hold on one second, Sharon. Becky, are you able to see me? All I see is this pre-order thing, and
Yeah, take off the custom overlay. Just turn it back off, and then you can
okay.
you can throw it back up on at the end again.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone, to leave that up so long. I thought it was just like one of these things. Oh well, I'm just learning. So, okay, who has another question? Who has any burning thing that they want to discuss? And I'd be happy to bring it up. Let's see. Yeah, Joe at Craigfire Gardening says that's what's happening to a friend of his. His head is so buried in gardening books, he's going to miss the whole the planting season.
I just read that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I repeated things that everybody can see. That you can see as well. Why am I repeating everything? Boy,
Well, that's good though, Kay, because some people will be watching this later and they won't see all this. So it's great.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
On the same page. Most of my books, they're just there as reference. The fun is to get out there and get your hands in the dirt, and you know, to relearn things you already knew 50 years ago, but you got to make the same mistake again. You know.
Well, I'm trying to channel what my grandparents knew, because both of my parents, well, if you watch Welcome to Late Bloomer episode 1, you know that both my grandparents were farmers, and very different kinds of farming experience. In fact, I think it's something similar to what you said, Sharon, when Sharon has said that she considers herself a survival gardener. In other words, she wants to garden in such a way as if all other services fell away, she could still support herself. And a lot of people are into the survivalist movement now, and preppers and this and that, and everybody's coming from a very different place. But I think I tapped into something very deep from my grandparents, and of course all my ancestors, because I'm from the South, and they were all in. Everybody had a garden. Everybody had a garden.
I mean, there weren't any stores. We had no choice.
Right. There were no stores.
I mean, really, even in the Great Depression, 40% of the people were farmers.
Right.
Now there's like less than 2%.
Well, I just quoted this statistic at I did 4 times last year. I did presentations for very different kinds of groups, and let's see, when is it? I think it's 2050. Something like 3/4 of the population of the planet are going to live in cities, and this is another reason that I am so intent upon inspiring urban people to garden and grow food, and not think of, I don't have space, I'm in an apartment, I can't do this, I can't. There's so many ways that one can engage in gardening even in a city, and it's going to be critical. If this turns out to be true, that 3/4 of the world's population live in cities in 35 or 40 years, it's going to be critical that at least half of them know how to grow some food, because who's going to be growing the food? You know, it's going to be happening on rooftops, and it's going to be happening in vertical walls and green walls and aquaponics and aquaponics and everything. Hydroponics, I mean.
You know, and when I was a kid growing up, the East Coast supplied the food for the cities. Now California their food is shipped all the way to the East Coast, and you know, it makes no sense.
No.
I mean, we don't necessarily need to grow in cities, although any kind of people that can grow in cities is good because it's fresh. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of hydroponics. I really think we need to look at the whole recycling of all the nutrients that we use in a real way. But we have farms surrounding our cities, and those farms should be supplying the cities, not California.
I agree.
You know, in the United States.
We have real water issues, and that's going to be there's going to be a major shift. I imagine will happen. Eric at Double Dog, what do you think about that?
Okay, will you make sure that the box down at the bottom is on you?
It says you.
It should be on you, on Kay, not on me. The box down at the bottom.
I clicked you, and when the white line is around you.
Okay, so it should be good. I just want to make sure.
Oh, there I am up there. Okay. Ooh. an eyeball in that. Let me try that.
There's a follow-up question from Cindy Lou about the calcium, and it says, is there a schedule for calcium additives like eggshells and Epsoms?
Yeah, but let me see how she phrased it. So is there a schedule? Oh, okay. So how often should you add your calcium concoction to your tomatoes?
Well, personally, because of my biodynamic compost that I make, I don't need to add anything.
Right.
Personally.
Yeah, but other people do.
I recommend everyone start composting, and especially biodynamically, as the best solution for gardening.
That's a good point. A lot of people are doing things in very different ways. Is anyone interested in? Is anyone thinking along the lines of going biodynamic or looking into doing that, or consider yourselves a biodynamic farmer or gardener that's listening? Please let me know.
Yeah, it's just something I recommend. It's something I recommend.
Sorry, Eric. I thought I was on all that time and I wasn't. Okay. Yeah. Well, is there one resource that you would recommend for someone who is interested in getting deeper into the process of biodynamic, where they would go and learn, or do you recommend a workshop or what?
Number one, just go to the biodynamic website and just explore. Just begin there.
Okay.
There's many different books that you can start. But there's also Josephine Porter Institute, so you can begin to learn to use the preparations. You can become an apprentice. They have a training program depending on if you want to become a farmer or not. But most people just want a backyard garden.
Right.
But I would start by joining. Just go to the biodynamic website.
Okay.
There's a question from a Matt W.
Yeah, Matt. My pal Matt.
That asked about what is your favorite variety to grow? What is the most difficult tomato variety to grow and why? As a follow-up, what is your favorite variety to grow?
Well, I don't know if you mean me personally, Matt, but I think that it really depends upon your climate and your zone, because I have to choose within short season stuff because of all the June gloom here. They just don't get the heat that they need to really, bang it out unless I use certain varieties that are more short season. So I have to limit myself like that to start with. And what would you say, Sharon? The answer to his question.
You have to use short season.
I do, and short season corn, and it's crazy because we really don't have summer until about August, and so then the plants are kind of going, oh, okay, well I just better make everything and then die. I don't know. That's just been.
I'm confused. You're in Southern California and you don't have summer till August?
Well, we have, for the last 3 days, it's been like this. The sun has not shined in, this is all day for 3 days. And, but during June and July, it is cloudy till about noon or 1 o'clock. And by that time, the sun has passed over my house and my garden is in the front, so the sun is now in the back. So it's got to come in at an angle and just catch the tippy tops of whatever's tall that's growing, in my front yard. So when you say you're in Southern California, if I had a different yard, facing the opposite direction, I could have a much, much better garden. But just from the way I'm situated and we're 3 blocks from the ocean, so we have a lot of moisture from the ocean. So between the moisture and the no sunshine, that creates a perfect storm for powdery mildew.
Well, one thing I've learned, and I haven't traveled that much, since we settled here, but one thing I've learned is any gardener has to tune in to the land and to the plants site is different. And even change. You've got global warming. That really is, there's patterns that happen. You know, we had horrible drought here for like 10 years, and now the last few years it's been very cold.
Yeah.
We had frost on our pumpkin, or not our pumpkins, or potatoes. We had it almost freeze. And this is not normal for here.
Things are changing so fast, and it's hard to kind of keep up. I mean, we'll have like this heat wave, I've mentioned it before in episodes, of like 88, 90 degrees in January, and you're just going along, and it's like 40 something at night and 65 in the daytime, and the next week it's 88. You know, you just in your cool season veggies just go, huh? What?
That we need to garden because we can't count on this.
That's right.
This monocrop, industrial culture to feed us. We have to learn to, and we have a lot more flexibility, and that's why we have to tune in. You have to be able to tune in to wherever you are and go with the flow. Get ready to replant those peas that the crow ate.
Yeah.
But I wanted to answer in case with Matt. I have a particular favorite tomato variety that was my husband's favorite. And it was actually a hybrid, and I accidentally ordered it from Fedco, and it was a discontinued tomato, and it was a hybrid that they dropped all the seed from Cementus, which I guess Monsanto,
yes,
or, that group, so they weren't carrying any of their seed anymore, and I didn't realize it wasn't open pollinated because it didn't say
right.
the discontinued list. So I ordered it because I figured it was like Sun Gold, and everybody loves Sun Gold.
Right.
So I started growing them, and I started listing them on Local Harvest, and then somebody said, "That's not a open pollinated, that's a hybrid." I went, "Oh my God!" And you're right, it is a hybrid, but I've been growing it for 5 years now. And it's in my garden, and I love that tomato. It's very, very sweet.
Becky, write the name of that down. What is the tomato called?
It's called Sun Sugar.
Sun Sugar. But you're saying it was a hybrid, but now you've grown it so long, have you kind of turned it into an heirloom?
So far, it is still staying true to itself.
Okay.
Here, in my garden.
Well, yeah, that's because
it's not all that productive, but it is very, it's a beautiful tomato.
Okay.
It's worthy. It's my husband's favorite. It's my grandson's favorite.
Let's see. I have
sugar.
So, okay, we've got that. I wanted to. Cindy Lou is wondering. She's in a high elevation, and what's the best way to harden off so many? Opinions out there? I'm confused. What's the best way to harden off your seedlings? Maybe is that what you meant, Cindy? Oh yes. Oh, and very important. I'm waiting for Cindy to respond. Eric would like a short definition of biodynamic. So can you do that, or should I look it up?
Well, you can look it up, but everybody wants a short one. It's nothing short. It's the foundation.
The short answer is it's not a short answer. Sorry.
Before organics, there was biodynamics. Basically, it's natural farming, but using special remedies, herbal remedies that bring you into harmony with nature.
Right, and it involves the I haven't looked into it, and I know I need to, but does it have to do with you have to plant at certain cycles of the moon?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm all by myself here. I'm 67 years old. I do all the work myself. I do not. I have a calendar that I follow, but you're working with cosmic energies. You're working with the planets, the planets, and basically it looks at the Earth as a living organism, and
Right.
it's the farm is part of nature,
Right.
and you're part of the farm. So it's just basically connecting you in a kind of a spiritual way by
Right.
using these preparations that are made. They came from Rudolf Steiner.
Right.
His insights.
Eric, does that answer enough of your question? Because we can always go to biodynamic. I think it's just biodynamic.org or something. Isn't it?
Just type in biodynamics on Google. You'll find it.
Kaye, I posted the link there in the.
Oh yeah, she's got that. Cindy Lou is wondering about hardening off her varieties. She's in high elevation and she's going from the grow room to, I guess, planting tomatoes outside. I'm not exactly sure what the question is there, Cindy Lou, if you could be more clear. But I would just want to, we are at, let's see, we are at 67, we have 75 minutes, and we said we would go to 90 minutes. If anyone else has a burning question about growing tomatoes, please write it in the thing right now. And while you're doing that, I have a question. I have a pepper question, and I know I've got some pepper people out there. So these
Can I answer her question first?
Yes, you can.
I lived in northern New Mexico in the high mountains, so I know about those growing conditions. But even here, I have all my plants outside, and even though we had a frost, I go from starting them, but behind the wood stove, to bringing them out to a very cold greenhouse, and I keep the conditions very, very cold, to allow the root growth and allow them to grow slowly, not fast.
Well, are you talking about your? Oops, we just lost Sharon. I'm going to call her back. There might be a time limit on her phone provider. Anyway, while we're getting Sharon back on the phone, I just want to know if anybody think these are my two tallest peppers. These are a hybrid, and these are sent to me by Dakota Bob. These are the Aruba hybrid, and I'm wondering if I need to prune these. I know, got you back. I just wonder if anybody agrees that these need to be pruned, or do I just keep letting them go like that? You can see what I'm doing, Sharon. Do you grow peppers?
I can't see anything.
Okay. Okay. All right. The question is, should you prune your pepper seedlings if they're kind of tall and leggy?
Should you prune your tomato seedlings?
No. Pepper. Because I've seen a lot of people just, they take it down. Sometimes they take it down to here or here. And then it grows back with a stockier stem and lower to the ground and more bushing out. And I was wondering if I should do that. I haven't done that. If anybody has an answer for me and saw what I just did, just please answer. Because I'm learning too.
I personally don't do much pruning of plants, but I have a friend who bought some of my seed from me, and she's an intensive CSA, year-round CSA person, and plants everything really, really close together.
Right.
And the very, very same plant, she planted very, very close together.
Yeah.
And they were small and short and productive, but the same plant I planted, giving it 3 times more space, and it grew 4 foot tall and completely differently.
Yeah,
very, so.
I think that's. I think so many answers really to these questions come down to what are you growing in, how much space do you have, and what's your climate. Because you just have to learn, those are the 3 things you really have to learn how to deal with. I mean, here for my entire summer garden, you may have heard me say this on an episode, but it doesn't rain here. The whole length of the summer garden is grown with city water. I mean, if you can imagine that. Most places have rain, but we don't have any rain in the summer. So from I'm using some captured rainwater on my seedlings, but when that runs out, it's going to be city water until Halloween. Halloween was our first rain last year.
I think personally California needs to really look at recycling every bit of gray water it's got. Yeah,
they're doing a lot of it, belatedly. They should have been doing this sooner, but they are looking at a lot of those different kinds.
And not allowing anything into that gray water that shouldn't be happy for plants. You got to think about what you use on your body, and how you wash your clothes.
Right.
Because when I lived in New Mexico, we recycled all our gray water out there in the desert.
Right.
And we garden completely different than I do here.
I got a response from Joe at Craig Fire Gardening. Well, everyone can see it. I don't need to read it. But yes, you are the person I was thinking of, Joe. I'm so glad you're watching, because do you think I need to prune these? These are the two tallest ones. Or just let them go. And maybe Dakota Bob can weigh in too. Oh, you did weigh in. Let's see. You need more light, Kaye. I know. I don't have it. Leave and leave.
Need more light?
Yeah, that's the reason all my seedlings are always leggy. I don't have a greenhouse. I don't have a light set up. So I shuffle these trays in and out, from the front of the house to the back of the house, back and forth, inside, outside, up and around. I had to bring everything in right before we did this because the wind was blowing, and this little pepper was going like that. And I go, no.
Before I had the greenhouse, I had this light, just regular grow light.
Yeah.
Just like fluorescent lights, like you put in your garage. They're at Walmart for like $15 a set. But my husband built this thing that it would hold all these flats of seedlings, and we started all our seedlings in that.
Yeah.
And anybody can grow a whole garden's worth of seedlings, and then by the time they're ready to go outside, from underneath those grow lights, you can just put like some old window frames or something and just lean them up against your house to protect them, to harden them off.
Right. Okay.
So you don't have to go in and out, and they're not going to get all leggy, because most people want to start stuff and stick them in a windowsill, and there's not enough light.
No. I know, and I have already committed myself that if I have a garden in the it'll be next year's garden, because I can plant all my winter garden, direct seed, all that. That's no problem. So I'll start all those in the ground, but everything else I'm going to have a grow light set up. You heard it here. Okay. I'm not doing this again. Cindy Lou says she lops off the tops of her peppers, and Conrad, if you're still with us, I can't believe it's 2 a.m. over there in South Africa. What was the question that you could not hear the response? Just refresh my memory. What was the question you wanted answered? And then, gosh, we're at 4:25. If you guys want to keep going, we could keep going. But we can also wrap it up too. So if anybody else has a question, I'm having a great time reading Joe and Eric's comments. Joe says to lop off peppers, and Eric says he likes to follow permaculture practices or as closer to natural as possible. And permaculture in many ways mirrors biodynamic, wouldn't you say, Sharon? I mean,
I think they're roommates.
Yeah.
And I had a young apprentice who said I was permaculture before they here. He was an apprentice of mine like a long time ago, he works as an herbalist at the herb farm now. But we have planted hundreds of trees and vines and shrubs, and I don't know. I have not studied their permaculture practices, but I've done some reading, and we do follow a lot of the principles here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I think Conrad's original question was that he's getting plants that are flowering too soon, and he wants to know how to keep them from flowering so quickly and get the plants to grow taller than 2 or 3 feet high before they fruit.
Flowering too soon. The only thing I can figure out is, that maybe.
I'd like to know if Conrad, did you start these from seed or did you buy nursery plants? Because we didn't clear that up. So let me know. Go ahead, Sharon.
Well, it seems like a soil imbalance. If a nutrient imbalance, if they're
right.
going to flower too soon.
Right, because nitrogen builds leaves, the green of the plant, and which one builds the bloom? Builds the bloom.
I think it's phosphorus.
Okay, it's the second one. It's the second number in the 555. The first number is nitrogen, and then it's Eric. Help me out.
Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash, or potash and nitrogen. I don't know which one.
Okay.
But I don't really pay much attention to that. I just know when the plants are happy or when they're not.
Right. Well, your soil is so healthy, you don't have to add, but most people do have to add. And what we do is we just try to find the best organic fertilizer we can and use it.
Well, you can't trust that anymore. That's the problem. Is you can't. I mean, that's what got us in trouble in the first place. Is we trusted the academic world to take care of things, and it doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So your recommendation then is the composting, correct, Sharon? Do your own composting for your organic fertilizer?
Yes, she does. Well, let me just interject. Yes, she recommends using your compost for soil health. And if Conrad, if all of your blooms are falling off and the plant's only like this, I mean, if you're getting only blooms and starting to get tomatoes and the plants are only like that tall or something, just take off those first blooms and you can prune tomato plants to death almost. I mean, I've just absolutely scalped that tree out there, and it's, they want to live. If they get their roots established, man, tomato vines want to live. And
I like what Elliot Coleman says in terms of a lot of people want to analyze everything to death, and let the plants speak to you, and if you want to experiment, one in one pot over here, then you learn. You say, okay, let's prune this one, let's not prune this one, and let's learn from it.
That's a great idea. I think I should do that with this. That's not a bad idea.
I'm just
going to prune one of these, Joe, and I'm going to prune one of these and see what happens to the other one. And Dakota Bob.
Be your own researcher.
And the last question that Conrad had that he wanted was about the compost pile next to his tomatoes. Is that okay?
Oh yes. I guess he did not hear the response to the question.
He didn't hear it before.
Compost. It's okay to have the compost pile next to the tomatoes. Is that okay, Sharon?
Tomatoes love compost, and they love a compost made out of their own cells. They're very narcissistic. Tomatoes like nothing better than a compost pile made out of their own plants. They're narcissistic. I don't know if that makes any sense. Tomatoes love compost.
Okay. I'm going to go.
No problem with a tomato. I've had a tomato that went 50 foot, a cherry tomato, Chadwick cherry. It went to the top of the barn and back, growing out of the compost pile.
My tomato vine was growing up in my pine tree, but I thought, well, this is totally impractical because I can't reach the cherry tomatoes. So I cut it back. But it was probably 12 to 15 feet, several branches going all over the place. So I cut it all back. But if that's well established, the roots are well established, it'll keep producing lower, right, Sharon? If you prune the vine. I mean, I can't climb up into a pine tree to harvest these guys, you know.
Well, I don't, like I said, I don't prune. I don't prune. I just grow them on a fence and let them do what they're doing. When they're tired, I let them quit.
Yeah.
I just grow lots.
Right.
I don't have time to prune tomato. I have an acre garden.
Right.
And I have hundreds of varieties of things, and there's only one old woman to maintain it all.
Okay.
So that's my reality.
Stop. You're not old. Let's see. Stephanie wants to know. Let's see. That's what I'm doing with my jalapenos this year. Half prune the others, not. Yeah, someone was commenting about pruning the peppers, and I think she's going to prune half of them and the other half not, and just see what happens. See how they produce. But that's the great thing, is if you have several plants, you can do that, you know. Even in a small garden like this, you know, I had 28 pepper plants last year, and in 3-gallon pots, and I had close to 30 tomato plants, and you know, it was a jungle, but it was interesting. Okay, everybody, I think that it's about time to wrap this thing up. Let's see.
I've had fun.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to mention that Craig Fire Gardening channel, that's Joe, who's been contributing here, and he says on here that he has a series on pruning peppers, so be sure and check out that, and then also be sure and check out what Double Dog Farm is up to, and well, everybody here is all, I recognize everybody here. I hope that there were other people that were listening that didn't comment. Otherwise, I just see about 20 of my best online pals here. So I'm hoping there are a bunch more of you guys out there, and that you enjoyed this. And I promise when we do it again, we'll have all the kinks worked out. And so you'll be able to actually see my guest on screen. You know, we'll share screens, and you can do all that. But hopefully, now Becky, can you just help me wrap this up? How do I tell everybody?
So go ahead and click on the square at the bottom with the DVD graphic there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here's my
pushing out.
Again. I would love for you guys to order one as a gift for yourself. It helps support Late Bloomer, and this is like a one-time short window of opportunity to get the DVD for about probably about $5 less than what it'll be on Amazon. And then also, Becky, will this be available for people to listen or read or see later?
Yeah, so you can use the links that are here to watch it. This event page will be up, you know, and you can watch it, or you can go to Kaye's YouTube channel. It'll be over there as well, so you can always watch the replay. Okay, cool. All right. And if anybody has any comments or questions that didn't get answered, or if you just want to let me know that you were there, but you were there in person, not just in spirit, but that you didn't comment, I would love to know who's actually there. Or can I see that somewhere, Becky? I don't know. Yeah, you had 41 viewers, and you can see who is there on the event page. So excellent. Well, I do. There's one more question. Kaye, it says, "What is your thought about AACT?" Okay, I'm going to have to read that. Hang on a second. All caps, AACT. What is your thought on? What do you mean? Actively aerated compost tea. Right, you've told me that before, and I always forget that. Well, obviously, this is not a question for Sharon, because Sharon, you don't even bother with compost tea, do you?
I don't.
Yeah, she doesn't have to.
I do occasionally spray various herbal things. I spray seaweed sometimes.
Okay.
And I do want to say that anybody that wants to ask questions of me, and if you buy seeds from me, you can always make comments or ask questions on local harvest. Most seed companies are really big, and they're not going to answer your questions about growing.
Right.
But if you even if you don't buy from me, you go to local harvest or go to Facebook or my website. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Yes, I hope you all heard that. That's Sharon's Natural Gardens on Facebook, and her website is sharonsnaturalgardens.com. And I can attest that she has been very generous with her information with me. And I am vowing to go and visit her this summer and do an episode and show my vast YouTube audience her beautiful garden. Let's see. I don't think I really answered your question very well, Eric, because I don't make compost tea. I know I need to, and I know that there's actively aerated, and then there's the other kind which is not aerated or something. And so if anybody else out there can answer that question, please
compost tea,
write it in the
aerated quality compost. But there again, where's that compost coming from? It's very important that, you can use compost tea for blight, for all sorts of things, but it's a matter of the quality of the compost. It all comes down to that.
And I feel quite sure that Eric has 6.5 acre spread that he is making his own compost. And I know he's doing a lot of wood chip gardening, no-till gardening, and trying to do that. It really depends on your space and your setup and how much help you have as to whether you can do the no-till. Like, for example, I was asking Sharon about that last night in her garden. It's so big that there are reasons why she has to till, because it's just her. And let's see. I'm just getting a comment from my friend Rushi, and did you have a question, Rushi? Because we're about to wrap it up, actually. If you have a question, I'll wait another couple of minutes. Wow. Oh, let me get back to me. Everybody has seen that. Sorry about that. I keep, forgetting. The one thing I said, I know everybody that's commenting is someone that I actually communicated a lot with, or some with online already. But if anyone is interested in how I produce late bloomer, if you have any questions for me about that, just the technical side, please let me know. I'd be happy to enlighten you about that. Okay, I think I've got one more question here. Wow, Cindy Lou says this was the best. The reviews are already coming in. Cindy Lou says, this was the best show ever. Why am I reading it? You guys can read it too. Anyway, she's got a lovely garden that's very well intentioned, and I think I think that Cindy Lou is going to be a tremendous gardener. Probably much better than me. Can a tomato be grown along with a fruit tree in a container? I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, Rushi. Sharon, that's Rushi's question. Can a tomato be grown along with a fruit tree in a container? You mean in the same container?
Why not? It depends on how big the tree is and how much shade it gets. The tomatoes like heat and they like sun.
Right.
So a cherry tomato would probably be real happy on a small tree in a container with plenty of sun. Okay. That's, yeah, well, all right.
The only thing that I put in the same container with tomatoes is basil. I did a lot of that last year. I tried to put one in every single container and beside every single plant, because it was supposed to help with bugs. Now I don't know if it was my borage, my marigold, or my basil, which I had a lot of all over, but I only saw, or my vigilance, late bloomer lesson, be vigilant. but I only saw one tomato hornworm, and that was that little one in my episode. And if you can believe, I was shooting the video, holding that leaf and talking, and I'm going, now, you know, this thing's going to get bigger, so you got to take care of these things. You got to catch them when they're small, because they're going to eat a lot more of your tomato plants. And I put the camera down, and I took care of that that worm. And then when I got the footage on the computer later, I saw, OMG, that was a hornworm, because we all just fear those.
Don't tell people to kill them.
Oops.
If they have little white eggs on the top of them.
Well, no, right. Yes.
They carry they're already parasitized and they will die anyway, and they are being parasitized by the sphinx moths.
That's right.
Which are a predator of the hornworm, a natural predator.
I think you all probably know that, and probably when it gets to be big, sometimes you'll see the white eggs all along the back of the tomato hornworm, and you don't want to kill those hornworms, right, because the eggs from the, what is it called? Their predator.
The sphinx moth.
No, I know the sphinx moth.
It looks like a little hummingbird at night. It's a night flying moth.
Right. No, I know.
It'll turn into, but it's a predator for that bug.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, I have not started my mustard yet, Joe. No. Behind. I need help. So does Sharon. If anybody is living in the Delaware area and you're keenly interested in becoming a better gardener or farmer, I highly recommend that you go and volunteer and work with Sharon and help her and learn from her. Her knowledge and experience is vast. And
I also do farm tours or classes here for $20 an hour. If you want to volunteer, great. But if you just want to come for a class or a tour, that helps support my farm too.
That's right.
So you can choose depending on what you want to do. But I welcome either one.
Oh, Stephanie says she got lucky and the wasps killed her tomato hornworms and took care of the problem.
She got lucky in what?
She got lucky and the wasps took care of her tomato hornworms before she had to.
Yeah. Once you see the eggs on them, they're already stopping feeding. They won't eat anymore.
Right.
So you don't have to kill them.
Right.
The worms take care of it.
But if they're an inch long and they're just a tiny little thing, you gotta, right? You gotta take care of it.
Yeah, I take scissors out there.
Ooh.
That works. You don't have to squish them. You just cut them.
Oh gosh, I have used my scissors on my June bug grubs, and it's just like all mud inside. And it's just, ooh, it's gross. Okay, so I think we are way over 90 minutes. Does anybody else have another comment or question? Because that's going to be the wrap. I hope you enjoyed this first ever experimental live webcast with your host, Kaye Kittrell, who is continuing to be a late bloomer, but I'm working very hard at my vigilance and my observance and doing my research and learning from all of you who know so much more than me. And if you are interested in a particular, the thing is, there's so many, I wanted to say this, and I almost forgot. There's so many garden videos with all this fantastic information, and you can learn so much. And I can't possibly compete with that because I'm a late bloomer. So what I try to do is I try to just show my experience and how much fun it is, and the good with the bad, the whole thing. And if that's what you enjoy and that's what you'd like to see more of, please let me know. And also, there are people that I want to interview that Ron Finley, I'm dying to get on his schedule. He is the Los Angeles guerrilla gardener, actually very, very well known now. He did a TED Talk and he's just on fire. I'd like to get together with Ron. I'd like to go to Sharon's gardens. I'd love to go to San Juan Island, and I've never been there. But all this takes money. So if you guys can help support Late Bloomer by buying a DVD or supporting me through my affiliate marketing links, then your support is very, very welcome, and I thank you. So Sharon, thank you so much for joining me, and I promise next time she's going to be like, whoops, right here. And Rushi says that her 5-year-old son is loving to watch this with her. So that's one. It's one of the thing I wanted to mention is, I don't even know if like how many people are still there, but one other thing I wanted to mention is the most important thing we can do is pass on the information that we have to young people and get them excited and interested, because so many young people are caught up in the culture, and they haven't really stopped to think, where's my food going to come from in 25 years? I'll let somebody else worry about that, you know. But if we can inspire them now and just get their hands in the dirt in any way possible, from teachers to mentors to volunteers, I don't know how it's going to happen, but that's the most exciting thing. So what I want to start doing on an episode here and there is I'm going to start featuring a young gardener, if we can work out the technical aspects, and see what they're doing in their gardens, in their country or state or wherever they live, and just check in with various young people and see what they're up to. And hopefully that will inspire young people and be inspirational for older people too. So that said, I am going to yeah, I'm going to try to answer that question later, Cindy, because we're so late now. But thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I hope it was an enjoyable experience. I know that some of you had to leave the garden early to come in and join us on West Coast time, so I really appreciate that. And Sharon, thank you so much. And okay, I'll see you guys on YouTube and my website, latebloomershow.com. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay, talk to you soon. See you next time.